Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bulletproof Dental Practice Podcast. It's Pete and I today. And as I'm talking, I'm looking at Pete's face. He's kind of giving me like a little shake of your head, like, what are we talking about? And I wanted
I'm
to
just grumpy pants a little bit.
no, well, you got to watch the transformation of Pete Grumpy Pants to Pete Gladiator.
No, you're talking me into too many kumbaya podcasts, and like let's
This is not a kumbaya. This is not kumbaya.
let's talk about feelings and
No,
this and
this is not
that.
feelings. It's not feelings at all, bro. This is not feelings at all. You're Maximus. Isn't that the character from like the guy like, are you not entertained?
Yeah, are you
That's
not
who you
entertained?
remind me of.
Yeah, all right.
Not Atticus, not Atticus Spartacus from the Birdcage. Big difference.
Okay.
Atticus Spartacus was the manservant of the Birdcage movie, which is a great movie, by the way.
Your microphone is a little loud. I want to make sure you don't overpower me on this podcast.
Okay, so dial me down. Dial me down.
I don't know how to do that.
Good. Well, then leave it high. so let me tell you.
Recording.
Of course we are. Just did an intro. So let me tell you this, and I want to get your raw feelings on this because I need your raw feelings. Okay. So I want to talk today about this topic. It's called the easy way is actually the hard way. So I want to describe what just happened to me this morning. I had a little bit of a tough morning, Pete. You don't know any of this yet. So I know you had a tough, a couple of days ago, you told me you had to let go of a doctor, and I don't want to talk about that because it's your personal business, but I want to talk about what happened to me because this morning at 8:30, I had a meeting to let go of a doctor, right? So I'm going to rewind a little bit, and I'm going to talk about my meeting on Wednesday with my office manager, Erica. So I have a doctor who, and again, you're free to share as much or as little as you want with your personal experience, but I know you tend to do this really well. And maybe I've learned this from you, maybe I've learned it from Erica, but I've learned a lot from different people. And so we have this doctor, she's not fitting in real well. Her, there's a lot of gray in dentistry. Like maybe you like to do a veneer. I like to do Invisalign. You like to do an inlay. I like to do an onlay, composite, Emax, gold, whatever your flavor is. There's a lot of gray. But then there's also black and white in dentistry of like what to treat and what not to treat. Like, should you touch that tooth or you should leave it alone?
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not you believe in a material choice, that's kind of a gray area. We all have to, as a multi-doctor practice or dentists, colleagues that talk over the coffee table and stuff like that, we have to agree to disagree sometimes. But we can't really agree to disagree when like patients are not vibing with you or you're making choices for patients' treatment that just goes against the grain of what's widely acceptable. So we had a situation like that. And there's that famous quote that our buddy told us once, Pete. It says, stress comes from knowing exactly what to do, but taking no action. So I knew this for quite a while. And frankly, I'm just I'm not taking action because, it's hard to do what you did and what I did. And then on Wednesday, I have this strategy meeting where it's coming to my attention that the entire office is feeling this one way about this doctor. So I'm like, shit, I got to do something. I can't just dick around with this anymore. So I meet with Erica, and there's two things that are going on. Number one, the doctor has had a recent surgery and this person's injured. And number two, she's not a good fit for the practice. So I spend the first 20 minutes of the meeting trying to convince Erica, well, we don't really have to tell the truth. We'll just say it's because of her injury. Because it's easy, because I want to be like Pete, so it's really nice to say, hey, you're injured, you really can't work, we need to let you go because you're injured and you can't, if you've had 6 weeks off and it looks like it might be another 6 or 8 weeks off. So that was going to be the easy way. Mm-hmm. And Erica, God bless her, because for 20 minutes I'm so convincing, that, Pete, I'm really convincing. Mm-hmm. So for 20 minutes I try to convince her we don't need to tell her the truth, we could just tell her it's because of the injury. Mm-hmm. And for 20 minutes she's like, nah, I'm not buying it. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. And I just kept, as she's talking, it's like, wah, 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 wah. Because I'm like, I'm going to tell them, watch me. I'll make you see my point. And she kept pushing it back. I'm like, eat the soup. No, thank you. No, try the soup. No, thank you. And it's really cool because I recognize, she's like, look, okay, so tell her it's the injury. And don't tell her that the reasons why. Now she doesn't get to correct herself for the future because after she leaves this practice, she's going to be doing the wrong thing on other patients. Your responsibility to the profession, to the patient she hasn't met yet. Also, what about when she gets well? And she's like, hey, I'm all well. Can I come back? Oh, well, that wasn't really the reason. And so this morning was actually really easy because I sat her down. And I said, hey, listen, this is an inflection point in your career. This is not the final chapter. This is not a failure, but you're injured right now. You can't do dentistry and you need to do a lot of learning. So God always puts something in your path in perfect time. You know how many dentists you and I have talked to, Pete, that have like broken their wrists or had a ski accident and had a single solo practice. And then this point in their life happened and God put something, God, the universe, whatever your spiritual belief is. I don't want to go too woo-woo on anybody, but a precipitating event happens and then you have to reinvent yourself and you hire additional doctors. So I said this to her. I said, you can't work. You got plenty of time. You can actually do some learning and get better. And I left, I was in my heart space, I was aligned, and it was not hard at all. But I was so close to actually not telling her the truth. And I noticed, Pete, that you don't do that because I want to be liked. And sometimes being liked, you'll actually, not that I'm lying, but you'll bend the truth. And I noticed that you don't do that. So I want to thank you for being my friend. I want to thank you for being, having those character traits that I've learned from, because you do that. You'll call me out in it too. You're like, that's bullshit. The real thing is this. So isn't it funny that the hard thing at first, what we think is the hard thing is really sometimes the easy thing because you're aligned. Thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are, I think it's, look, we have this thing where we say like good cop, bad cop, because when we have conversations in business or around bulletproof stuff or whatever, and whether it's right, and you
all
will
that.
And you will say, look, you're the bad cop. Let me be good cop, which is fine. And I take that. And I am known.
Oh my God, this is awesome, man.
I am known in a lot of circles to be, and my wife is too, quite honestly. So it's, I live in that household and you're the product of the people you surround yourself. It's like we live in an environment of no BS. Because my thing long ago, Craig, was if I beat around the bush, if I tell you something that you want to hear that makes it easy, like you were about to tell that doctor, it's only doing a disservice to you, meaning you, the doctor, you, the recipient of that information, because you can't take the life lesson, because then you can't take accountability, and then you can't take growth. So yes, part of me prides myself on hitting you right between the eyes, because that's the way I like to be hit. And it's just a character trait. And sometimes, Craig, it works, but other times I have this, oh, Boulden, he's an asshole, or Boulden, he's too stern, or, I've heard that, he's firm but fair. And firm but fair, I probably like before all the latter. But to me, Craig, it's more of it saves everybody a lot of energy.
Yeah.
To just hit him between the eyes and say, look, here's the way I'm feeling. And I also know, Craig, I can hit people between the eyes because I don't have them there. I'm not coming from a malicious place of like, oh, I can't wait to hurt you. This is the way I'm feeling. This is what I've observed. And it's just not a good fit anymore. So our path going forward is non-existent. And, how can I help support you in the road out of here, and vice versa?
Yeah, I've got to learn this, Pete, because I've actually said, we've had a couple hard conversations. I've actually said the words, Pete, you've made it very easy for me. And like, oh, good. You've said to me back like, oh, okay, well, how so? Well, so you got to deliver, you're the stern one. So I can come in and kind of be like, hey, boss man says you gotta.
Craig, I don't know if I'm the stern one, honestly.
No, I know, but that's a character flaw.
Facts don't care about your feelings, is my point. Right? Like I just come at facts and it's not about like, it just is what it is. And you want to, because you're desperately so want to be liked. And honestly, you are. Thousands more people will be at your funeral than will be at mine. I promise you that.
I'll say that.
Right?
Because if we go down this path, we can't air this. This will get too deep into our own. So welcome to group therapy with Peter.
But guess what? I don't give a shit. I don't care. Right? Because I don't want to live in a space where I live my life trying to make everyone else happy. I want to live it for me and the people that I love. And like I've always told you, and maybe we haven't said that on the podcast, I have a tight group of people, and I will literally, and I don't say this figuratively, I would take a bullet for those 10 people that are in my inside without fail. But if you're not on that, then look, it becomes a harder conversation. So I am with my tribe. I will protect you to the nth degree.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and you know that, like, I do. That. Yeah.
I do.
Anyway, I know I
And
took that on a different tangent.
no, it's an important tangent because
it's a leader. This goes back to what even we talk about in our, like I actually had the conversation with one of our mastermind calls yesterday. And they were like, look, Craig's leadership style said to do this. And she said, and I like and it's what someone's resonating with. And she said, I like what you're saying in terms of like this delineation of leadership. And I said, look, Craig is an excellent leader. People love him. He got a box full of, on Boss's Day, a box full of cards about people just proclaiming their love for him. I didn't get any, but it didn't make me butthurt because I knew that it was bigger that my action and my growth of my organization is bigger than me needing or wanting to be liked.
Yeah. So what the spirit of what I wanted to come to today was to tell the audience, tell the listeners that, we're all evolving, Pete. Obviously you're not the same version of you that you were 6 months ago, a year ago. And progress equals happiness. We always have to be growing. And today I tried to be the guy that was going to be liked, and the people around me wouldn't let me take the easy pill, like the Matrix, the blue pill, or whatever it is. I had to go deep, and I was so proud, and I felt so good about myself to do what is the right thing. And it was actually much easier. So the hard thing is the easy thing. I thought
it's hard. Look, I love where you're saying this, because it's hard right until the time that you say it, and then it's not, right? But if you were inauthentic with what Erica was about to let you do, it would still be festering in your mind right now, because you're like, I wasn't true, and that wasn't the story, and it would have eaten up your brain capacity, eaten up your emotions. You'd have been less present in your office.
You lose integrity. You lose your integrity.
You lose integrity.
Before you make a lie, you have to first agree to lie to yourself. And it's not a lie of like, I stole money, or it's not a lie like that. It's just, that's not the truth. And you have a built-in bullshit detector. And when you start bullshitting yourself, even as incipient as it is, like, oh, you're injured, you can't work here anymore. That's not the truth.
I think the perfect leader would be a blend of you and I.
Well, that's what we're hoping to create with the listener right now, Pete. That's the genius of what, if there's any genius that we have, it's that there's some super smart kid or gal or guy out there right now that's like, I'm going to take all that from Pete and I'm going to take all that from Craig.
Yeah, someone who's more definitive and just like, this is what it is, and then also someone who's more empathetic, right? Who sees it. And so I think that would be the perfect, like, I don't know, it's that's true. It'd be. Yeah, we'd be a great leader if we just morphed.
Yeah, well, that's what we're trying to do. So one thing that I learned a while ago when I was going through a personal hard point, the hard point I was talking about. It was, and I talk about it on the on Bonnie Pearl's podcast, which is going to be coming out shortly. I had the chance to drive.
Bonnie Pearl is Tony Robbins' wife, because
Sage Robbins.
You call her Bonnie Pearl, which not many people don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Sage Robbins. That's going to be coming out shortly. So I got a chance Tony was here one day really late, working. I had to do some work on him, some dental stuff on him. And I said, I'll drive you home.
Is this when you made him get in your micro sedan?
No, I did that. Yeah. So once I took Tony home, he's in my Porsche, my 911. This is before I realized that I look like a,
6'6" getting out of a Porsche 911.
Yeah, that was
the valet laughs at you.
Yeah, that was version 1.643. That was like Windows XP of me. That was a way past version.
That was pre-Pete. That was pre-Pete. I was like, dude, get a Raptor and get over it.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't need a Raptor. And now I drive a Raptor. I'm so much better. But it's also like my son's getting older. Baseball bats don't fit in there. We go camping. That doesn't work for a 911 as well. Yeah, but Tony was in my 911. So me 6'5", but like 110 pounds, and Tony 6'7" and 290 pounds. It was a sight
like
to be seen.
Car.
It literally was. It literally was. I wish I could have. I mean, I would have, knowing him now the way I do, I'd have been like, dude, I got to take a selfie of this freaking thing. It would have been so funny. But no, that was not that time. He was in my Raptor. I took him home and we sat in his parking lot for a minute. And he's like, so talk to me about how things went. I'm like, so I had this like amazing like personal session with Tony. It was awesome. I didn't want to capitalize on too much of his time because, he had been with me for a while that night. And I just remember he said one thing. He said, Craig, you're a pleaser. He says, you know how I know you're a pleaser? Because I'm a pleaser. And I want everybody to like me. I want everybody to think I'm their hero. I want everybody to do that. And you know what? When you're a pleaser, it's actually not about them. It's about you. You want them to like you. You're trying to get something from them. And he said, if you live by people's praise, you'll die by their criticism. And it got in my ears, obviously, but it didn't get into my heart till more recently. And it's so important to have, the only pleaser you have to be is you have to be a pleaser to yourself.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about. That's where it comes full circle. So when you agree not to tell the truth or not to be direct because you want to be liked, you know better. And your inner self says, you're bullshitting, Pete. You're being fucking bullshit. You're bullshit. And then, no, we're not bullshitting. We're just doing what's right. We're just doing what's easy. Come on, let's roll. And you con yourself to go down a path that sucks. So don't do that.
Well, it's also, going back to the KK talk, we had one of Tony's, for our mastermind, we had one of KK's. A KK is someone who is a Tony Robbins performance strategist. And
she's on stage right now, like nonstop for UPW. So Carissa Kuchis is her name. She goes by KK. You can follow her on Instagram. By the way, either we're releasing that to the greater good or we'll get her on the podcast because she was freaking fire. I mean, it's hard to move people through a Zoom call.
But she did. And
Pete and I were like jumping out of our skin. She had all of us like, and the girl's like, she's such a badass, man. But go ahead and talk to her.
We talked about the fears though, right? The fear of this, and was going through the fears in our life that motivate us to do something or hold us back. And I think going back to what you and Tony were saying about you being the same type of person is people pleasers, but it's also a fear of rejection. Meaning if I don't do everything I can do to make this person happy, they might leave me or stop caring for me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Or being a father. I mean, talk about failure.
If I don't
talk about being a parent.
Yeah. This I may disappoint or be, or be punished, for example. But I knew this was going to be a kumbaya.
No, I'm sorry, bro. We'll go. Hey guys, keep listening. Don't hang up. Don't. Yeah,
in the next 5 podcasts, I get to roll with step 1 through 5 of
how to turn your practice bulletproof. I get it. And by the way, keep listening for those of you who don't like the kumbaya, because we're about to go into the 4 easy hacks to quadruple your production starting on Monday.
Wow. I don't even know this. I can't. Are you running this one?
I'm running this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Put a pin in that for a second, but because I can do that. What was the claim to what your production to increase or to triple? What did I say?
It's irrelevant. It was a big claim and we're looking forward to it.
Okay. Just put a pin in it before we close that. I'll tell them.
It's going to be hug and love and do. And
no, it's not. No, it's not.
Get thank you notes all day long, and then it'll grow. Everything will just grow. It'll be
everything grows. Yeah, there's no weeds in the garden. You just will them all out. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, the KK was awesome. That was just on fire. And what's funny is, having gone to so many events, and I know you've gone to a Tony event as well. It's like you learn all this stuff. You're like, oh my God, life is going to be fucking unstoppable. I can't wait. And then a couple of weeks later, you don't practice it. It just goes away. So, your mastermind, your private mastermind group that you do on your own with your guys in Atlanta, that is so cool. I wish I had that. I'm so jealous of that.
But it's cool, but the takeaway from that is just like anything else, right? I have a trainer, not because I don't know how to freaking work out, right? It's an accountability thing. And it's also a declaration. When you say something out loud that you're going to do something, not just to yourself, but you say it to people that you love or are friends with or care about, it's a different proclamation. It's a different proclamation, even to your team. Like, I am going to be accountable for this. I promised you guys that I didn't lead very well here, or I made this mistake here, but I promise you it will never happen again. And when I do say that to my team, it is a mission to make sure that doesn't happen again. Right. Because I can't let them down. I feel like they know that.
That EQ, that emotional awareness, those declarations.
Craig, I'm gonna have a hard time naming this podcast, by the way. So
no, I got a name for it already.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I got a name for it. But before you
talk with Craig,
before you make that first agreement though with all the other people, hold the agreement to yourself. Live life with integrity. Integrity comes from the Latin root integer, which means whole and one. And, there's always that voice in your head, like, I should work out, I should do this, I should spend more time with my kids. And you blow it off and you start to lose respect for yourself. And when you lose respect for yourself, life goes downhill. Certain people, their definitions for friends are pretty loose. Like Naval Ravikant, Peter and I are reading his book right now. I read his book called The Almanac. And Naval talks about like he cancels relationships really quick when he sees values that don't align with his. So I think it's just really important, because even having friends that are in your circle that are,
if you see what he's referring to, the book.
So
I'll let you finish my thought, but then I want to say something on this, Greg, because it actually relates back to the mastermind you were telling me that I do with my buddies. But anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No, it's just that. It's just part of it. So let's just say you're squeaky clean with yourself and you're not a pleaser, you're doing the right thing, you're acting the right way. It is also friction on your integrity when you allow people with questionable morals to enter your life as well. Yeah. So this is my friend. I align with him, but he cheats on his wife, or he does this, or she does that.
Look, Craig, we talked about this ad nauseum. You show me your friends and I'll show you who you are.
Right.
Right. Like
the 5 people.
Well, it's not even, it's the 5 people, but like, show me the characteristics of your friends, and it's the truth. And that, I know that's a cliche almost at this point. You hear that, the 5 people you hang out with most, but that's real shit.
Yeah, it was real.
Let me jump
shit.
On this for a second.
Yeah, please. By the way, that changed my life, Pete. That changed my life.
Same. If you've never taken anything away from, if you listen to the Bulletproof podcast because you just like the way Craig and I make fun of each other, then that is good. But that's a different whole, and that's not the book.
I know, but I'm so proud of you for that one.
But if you never take anything away, you do nothing from what we say, buy this book on Amazon. It's come out. It's called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. And it's actually it's actually not written by him. It's actually written by a guy named Eric Jorgensen. The point is, it's not a long read. I sent it to Craig as a gift, and he literally texted me back. He's like, dude, I've never not been able to put a book down and come back and read it later. He's like, I couldn't not read the whole thing at once, because it was
just to be clear, I bought that one. You sent me this as a gift, which is incredible. So
sorry.
This was incredible. This is hard work. This is not sending me something on Amazon. Pete, I found Naval Ravikant on like a tweet storm, sent it to Pete. I'm like, holy shit, Pete. Pete gobbled it up and wound up publishing his own book, because Naval just has a series of tweets. He bound and sent this to all of his friends. So you actually published the Naval Ravikant book privately before anybody else did. So it's the same thing, right. But a little bit. Yeah. So you actually had the foresight to publish it and give it to him, because Pete said, if there's one thing I need my kids to read.
Well, no, I printed 10 copies, right? I picked 7 of my friends, because that's about all the friends I have, 8 friends maybe. And that I deeply care about. And I wrote something in there and sent it to them. I took the other 3 copies and I put them in my gun safe, which is my, I have a giant safe in my house, like guns and stuff. And I put 3 away and I archived them. And I wrote a note to my children. I said, because it's almost like a life manual.
It is.
So it's funny. We go away on our mastermind retreat, not from a Bulletproof, but from my men's that you speak of. And awesomely enough, I get to have Chris Tuff as the MC there as well. And the topic for this mastermind is going to be, we are going to dissect this book. We're going to go away on a trip. And these are men that I always make fun. I was like, I'm the brokest one in the whole group. And I love it, because these are men that are movers and shakers and players and authentic men and great in all aspects. And like, we're going to dissect this book. We're going away to really get deep, when all of us have big stuff to do, hundreds and thousands of employees amongst us, and we're doing this because it's that important. So long-winded way of saying,
read it.
That's a good thing to buy. Yeah. If you buy nothing else and you listen to nothing else, do that.
Yeah. And what is really cool, one of the fundamental thesis of the book, it's two sides. It's money, happiness. So he has the first side of how to get money, and money is just a skill, and there's a way. He actually says, if you put me in any English speaking country in the world and gave me 5 years, I'd find my way to make money again.
No. What he says is, look, getting rich is not about being lucky. Yeah. Right. And happiness is not a trait we are necessarily born with.
Right.
Both processes need curation. And you're right. He has the skills now that he's acquired over the years, that he says, look, if you put me in a scenario 1,000 times, I'd like to think that 990 times of them I would be able to prosper my way out, which it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
anyway, we've come full circle.
So I have a great idea, and then I feel like this is just literally we're recording a conversation that you and I have like on.
We always have these conversations, and how many times, Peter, have you and I had a conversation being like, that would have been helpful for other people as well? That's the genesis. That's the reason why we do this.
But one of these podcasts, I'm going to do it. So we're just going to keep ramming stuff all down people. So I had this great idea that I want to take segments from a Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss, and I want to not tell you which ones they are, and hear a clip of Naval and him talking. And then I want to hear your feedback, and I want to talk about that from a dialogue, and then put that on a podcast, which would be just, I think, next level. But I know I just stole the thunder of our own thunder.
Yeah, but that it's incredible. There's so much information. If you're stuck, if you're feeling like you need something to kick you into overdrive.
Shit, we're all stuck this year, bro.
Yeah, we're all. I know
we're all stuck. I mean, when are we not? When are you not stuck? Right?
Yeah, well, you make yourself stuck. He talks about that too. Naval talks about how you just the brain.
But one of the greatest things that KK said, look, and she actually, and it made it okay, because like I sometimes feel perpetually stuck, right? But she said, look, we are plants. We are an organism. And plants just don't go and be like, okay, cool, I grew, and I'm just going to stay this size, and like I'm going to grow and happy. She said the plant is either freaking growing or it's freaking dying. But it's one of the two. And if you commit to your growth, just in perpetuity, like I'm never going to reach the finish line. Awesome. I don't want the finish line. I'm never going to reach the finish line. There's never going to be.
You're going to die with unfinished business.
Right. You're always going to. And I think that is that to me has been the biggest transformational revelation paradigm shift in my head. It's not if, it's going to be just be excited that I get to grow until I'm dust in in a grave. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is cool, man. So to recap,
what the hell we started about?
No, well, just here's my recap of it. Here's how I think it all happens. Always do what you think is the right thing, because you're watching yourself. Your integrity is at stake, and it's not just what you do and what you say, and taking the hard way sometimes, which is really going to be the easy way. But also make sure that your friends reflect your integrity. And if you have some friends that are on their own way, and they maybe they're historic friends from how you grew up and they were your buddies, that's cool too. We're not saying to dust them, but just put a little space and help them along the path. That book is awesome. And now the 4 quick ways.
Knowing what to do, right? But knowing like you knew what to do. So going full circle, you knew what you wanted to do in your head, and you wanted to patty cake around it. And Erica said, be authentic. And as Tim Ferriss says, a person's success in life can usually be measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations he or she is willing to have. Full stop. And I truly believe that. So I know I don't enjoy having hard conversations, Craig, just to be clear, because I know everyone likes to say like hard ass and shoot them straight. I have the same amount of anxiety that you do going into a hard conversation. But I know that the easy way out is to patty cake it.
Yeah, the hard conversation for me was not the one I had this morning. It was just to get to that place.
Sorry, my camera's.
No, it's all good. This is a better version of you. When I think of you, I think of the multicolored flag like this,
because it happens so much.
Yeah, but yeah, it was cool. It was a lesson of saying like I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I discovered it, because people say I'm really good with words. I hear that a lot. And it's not that I'm so good with words, because I don't really feel like I have any special skill of words. What I do before I want to get a thought out is I get into the space of what I feel, because people feel what you believe. Eric always says that to me, like people will feel what you believe. So if you're saying, hey, good job, buddy.
The words matter.
But people feel it.
Yeah.
So
what have you learned like from this, I guess, and now having a lifetime of context of just saying, I'm going to go this route, and then finally having someone bow up to you, which not many people bow up to you in your life, Craig. Honestly.
I know, it's a problem.
Everyone defers. And so
and I'm also persuasive. When
Erica, you can convince me of shit. I'm like, wait, what the hell? Why am I agreeing to this? I hate this idea, but I agree to it.
Just like this podcast.
So finally, so I guess what I'm saying is, what have you learned? You've lived 20 plus years as being a leader in dentistry, and finally it took someone bowing up for you to say, wow,
Well, I asked them, I said, please don't bow up to me. Please don't, and please bow up to me rather. Please push back. You're not doing me any favors. And so I actually acknowledged her after. She's like, wow, you did so well during that meeting. It was perfect. Like you left her feeling inspired. You left her, and I'm like, you know what? I want to blame you for this. I want to say it's your fault that I did it so well because you did not believe my sales pitch of like, let's go the easy route. So I think my lesson is, I guess,
but okay, here, I know we can put a bow on this. How many times, even in coaching and consulting and talking to dentists now that we've seen in summits and everything, right? Oh yeah, Kathy, we have her. She's toxic. Everyone hates her, but I'm too scared, right, to have a hard conversation. So, Kathy, the hygienist or whatever, she's just toxic in the environment, but man, she sure does put up $20,000 a month, and I just can't let her go. Right. So this
I'll
loops
never
into
let that
back a
happen again.
culture thing. And the reason I sometimes am hard with firing Greg is because my team like goes back to the thing we talk about, who will protect this house. And I have that actually printed now in every one of my office is an Umber Arbor canvas, because if the team doesn't align with a doctor, a person, whatever it is, what I think about them is irrelevant. And let that sink in, right? I don't have to have hard conversations because it's not an alignment for my culture. And if my culture gets disrupted, that has catastrophic effects that will reverberate for years to come if it is not fixed. So whether or not I like you, I love you, whatever, it's irrelevant. My team is who works with you. My team is who have to interact. And if they don't trust, like you, or align with the way you are, it's over.
100%. So another small example of that, I had a doctor. Remember Patrick McDavid when he was on? I was talking about this doctor that I had that was a bully. Patrick's
not really. I was in a daze that whole podcast. But anyway, tell me.
Yeah. So Patrick McDavid said, "Oh,
hey, how was I during that podcast?"
Not good, buddy. Not good. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. It was very.
I blew it.
Remember the girl that won like Miss USA, and she's like, and the Iran and the children. She like had like a hardwired default.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I had a doctor that was a bully, and I lost employees because he pushed them out. He literally said things like, "Hey, either fire Joe or I'm leaving." And I'm like, "Okay."
I remember these.
Oh my God! Look at what you did for me that day.
And you acquiesced 10 times. Because you were so petrified. Well, dude,
no. It was my dad. There was a lot of confluence of factors.
I know there was.
So my dad was good friends with him. They would go skeet shooting and all this other stuff. And my dad's like, please. My dad's, you just talked to my dad before the podcast started. I'm not gonna. That's my dad's friend. Please, please, Craig, give him another chance. I'm like, okay, fuck it. But but you tolerate that. You are not standing up for everybody else. So I think we beat this horse pretty good.
I'll never forget that conversation too, because I was actually at that DEO conference about to go, and I was petrified, right, going into a different environment, going on stage to speak to DEO has intelligent business people, and I was going on to speak about Bitcoin and blockchain, right? And
when it was really bad, when I used to tease you
horrible,
constantly.
Right? And everyone was like, "What is this magic you think of?" But anyway. And I remember you calling, you're like, it's 911. I was like 10 minutes from going. I was like, Craig, and I had to be firm. I was like, dude, stop creating this narrative that this is going to work out. This is a broken, dysfunctional relationship, and you need to cut it. Cut it now.
So guess where it happened? So Peter and I had just gotten off stage. It was Father's Day of 2002. Maybe last year, Father's Day? I don't even remember. No, 2 years. Father's Day of 18.
3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, 3 years. So we're on stage at Terranea Resort, beautiful resort, coastal California, Rancho Palos Verdes, gorgeous. I get the call. I remember Dwight Pecora was like there with me, and he's like, he had resigned, and my dad's like, "Oh no, it's okay, let him back." I'm like, "Okay." I said, "Dude, I get it. You can come back, but the next time you resign, I am not saying a word, and you are leaving at that point." And he actually said, I got to learn to react like that, not like that. I wish I was more like you. You're so good at communication. I'm like, hey, dude, it's all good. But the next time you tell me you're out, you're out. Okay, we agree? He's like, yeah, we agree. So So he calls me up on
because he weaponized that against you,
I
and
know.
you let him. You let him
I know.
time and time again. He weaponized his threats.
So a great story, and I hope this is landing on someone that needs to hear this. So Father's Day, we had this assistant that we were bringing on the practice for him, and she was moving from Tampa to the East Coast of Florida. You know, so she's got a 100-mile move, and she was meant to have the moving van show up, and she was meant to start work on Monday. So he calls me on Sunday night and says, "Did you hear what happened?" I said, "No." Well, Diane can't move. I'm like, "Okay, well, good news. We have 24 really good assistants." Yeah, but I don't want to work with any of them. I'm like, "Okay, so what are you gonna do?" He's like, "I want to, if you can't arrange to have this assistant here at the time that she's supposed to." I'm like, hey, bro, I don't know what happened, but her moving truck didn't show up. She's showing up on Tuesday. He's like, "You know what? I just think it's a good idea that we part ways." I'm like, 100%, man. I hear you loud and clear. Let's unwind it. And he was like dead air, total dead air. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go. I gotta run." I walked over to you, and you're like, "God gave you." What did you say to me? You're like, "God gave you this one." That's what you said to me.
I did.
It was like, it's God that God gave you a Father's Day present. And then we had that steak dinner that was really bad, and we had a fight with the waiter. Remember that?
And I took it. I took my anger out on the waiter.
Yeah. But anyway, so and then the narrative in his mind, he's like, "So you're firing me?" Like on text. This was all on text, actually. It was not even in conversation. We needed to unwind it. "Respect your decision, buddy. Let's unwind it." Yes, that's the best thing for all of us. So, and then like a day later, "So you're actually going to fire me?" I'm like, "Oh, no. Refer to your text. You resigned." Mm-hmm. And then I get back to my office. I was on vacation a couple of days later. I'm like, "Wow, I can't believe you fired Dr. Joe." Mm-hmm. I was like, "No, I didn't."
He was Peter cried wolf for so long, and when you finally stopped being afraid of the wolf, shit changed.
Oh, it's so good, man. So for those of you who are hostage of your own imprisonment, and you're not a prisoner, you don't know your end date, you're actually a hostage. Every day is brand new. Do yourself a favor and realize that you've imposed the walls around you. No one else can control you. No one else can make you feel a certain way. You unconsciously gave your power away. You made yourself the victim. So step up, step into your power, and be the leader that you're meant to be. That's my advice to you.
And mine would be, we all have that person, right? We all have that person that we know is toxic to the culture. We're too afraid.
It could be your spouse, by the way. It could be a bad relationship.
Whoa, let's not go there.
No, not yours, but I'm just saying.
No, I know that.
But who knows? No, I'm just saying it could be you're in a toxic relationship.
It could be a friend takes advantage of you. It's a unilateral friendship. But let's loop it back into dentistry, because this is a dental podcast. Sometimes I need,
It is a dental podcast?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're prepping an MO, Pete, remember those 330 burr?
MO what?
MO. A number nine MILF. Do you know anything about that?
Am I prepping it indirect or direct, Craig?
Do you know anything about a number 9 MILF?
Oh, that's
a
true.
number 9
number
MILF.
9. Yes, I know. Everything needs a veneer.
You know what a MILF is? It's a mesial incisal labial facial.
I
gotta give it to you 3 times, bro.
Wow.
Every time I chart a mesial incisal lingual facial restoration, the 9-year-old kid in me is like, haha. That's funny. That's funny.
All right, now I just lost my train of thought. No.
Well, it's good.
It's back. No, it's back. It's back. So I think coming full circle, that, how many success stories have you heard from people saying, "Look, I finally had the gumption to have that sweaty back conversation with Kathy, who has been the tail that's been wagging the dog in my practice, and she's been toxic, and everyone hates her, and I hate her, and she's made everyone miserable. And I finally stepped up and had the conversation, and guess what? My life got better."
Oh, the team will explode after you.
Team exploded. I went to bat for them. My culture changed. Everyone, Craig, I have all these calls about changing the culture and how do you get this culture. You have a toxic person that everyone hates. You fire that person or have a hard ass conversation with them, and then they leave. All of a sudden, that culture changes. You don't need a hack from us. That culture changed that fast because you went to bat for the team. And guess what? They will reciprocate in kind.
100%.
And that culture all of a sudden just changes. And you didn't need an SDG bucks, and you didn't need a philanthropical movement, and you didn't need this. It was you protected this house, which is the number one thesis of culture. Protect your house and your culture will win.
Well, it's innately programmed into us as the human species to the leader eats last. And the reason why is because when He puts all the needs of everybody else before him. And then that's what you get to earn that leadership. You can't have positional leadership. That's why the alphas are always there looking after their pride in every single way. And by the way, it doesn't
Can you
have to
adjust
be.
your camera? I can't see all of your beautiful face.
Yeah, how about now?
No.
Well, no one. Do
There you
people
go.
more listen? Just leave a note in the comments below. Do you watch us or see us or listen to us rather?
And if you do, can you like YouTube and go like and like
Yeah,
they
we get
all
no
say,
love on YouTube,
like
man.
they all say on YouTube, just smash the like button. If you could smash the like button and subscribe and do all these bells and rings and doodles, we would love that because the YouTube thing. Sometimes
Yeah,
it gets.
we need to help more people, Pete. We
The
need
one
to help
with
more
Appa
people.
got great traction. We've had like 20,000 views or something like that on.
Well,
for
Appa's a star.
He's a phenom.
He's a phenom. A phenom 100. And with that, Pete, I'm going to go into our last part of this podcast, the 4 easy ways to quadruple your production within 48 hours.
No, well, I know you think it's funny because you think
no, but I can give a couple.
All of my stuff is funny where I go into tactical stuff, and I know you and Chris like to make fun of it. But I have to tell you, Craig, we are going to be unpacking my legacy piece soon.
I saw it. I loved it. We got a lot of big stuff we're working on, Pete. A lot of big stuff.
But this is going to be on my epitaph. Epitaph?
I don't really know. Don't. Let's edit this part out because I don't know.
Don't make a fool of myself.
Yeah, well, I'm riding with you. I'm riding with you with the anemone. What was your CNN?
Sometimes you have strokes of genius, and this was one of my stroke, and I wrote it down, and it was the whole, because I kept getting like dentistry's hard, and all these things, and I was like, it's not really. Yes, it's hard, but the components are not hard. And so I wrote this pathway down of what I think is we've always had, first we had the pillars in Bulletproof, then we had the gears, and I'm making a declaration that I'm going to push you into. It's going to become the Bulletproof pathway.
No, I loved it. You sent me the infographic. I thought it was beautiful.
And it's going to be amazing. So I can't wait to start sharing it at summits and all these things. But anyway, we're going to start getting more tactical. I feel like we've had a lot of woo-woo lately because I've acquiesced and let you have your way.
Yep. And also we have a partner, Chris Tuff,
who was another empath. Like you guys I'm overwhelmed with empaths in my life and now. Maybe. And so
yeah,
I need to push you out of the way and get strategic. Siri, goofing around, putting stuff. Hey, Craig, this is a serious podcast. You can't put virtual.
Well, most people are probably not watching, so this is a good reason. If you're so curious as to the wondering why Peter at this portion is laughing, subscribe on YouTube and you'll see what he's seeing.
All right. Anyway, we love all y'all. Hope you have a great and blessed Friday. And
yes, sir.
And we'll see you next time on.
Thanks, Pete, for being you, bro. Thanks for helping me grow my own character and all that good stuff, brother.
Likewise, my brother. All right, over and out.
Take care, guys.